My name is Weideman. I'm the editor of a new book that has just been published by Multilingual Matters in their series New Perspectives on Language and Education, and it's entitled Assessing Academic Literacy in a Multilingual Society, and it has a subtitle, Transition and Transformation. I was very pleased that I was joined in editing this book by my colleague Theo du Plessis, as well as by Professor John Read of the University of Auckland, a global expert on language assessment and a former president of the International Language Testing Association, ILTA. I think the book is significant for a number of reasons, for three reasons at least. The first one you already see in the title of the book, and I'm just going to share that screen with you so that we can look at what the book looks like. There we are. The term multilingual in that particular title tells you something about the book. South Africa is virtually a laboratory for multilingual research and for how we assess language in a multilingual society. Secondly, there's been intense interest in South Africa in language assessment for the reasons that you see in the subtitle, the transition and transformation phase that we are currently experiencing in South Africa. But what really stands out is that we found in this intense interest that we have new ways of doing things. So we are measuring academic literacy by looking at the various components of academic literacy and devising new kinds of task types or subtests in which you, or through which you can measure these. This is not the only innovation that you have. We've re-looked, for example, at the phases of test design, and we have a new understanding that I think is more realistic than any other of what goes into language test design from the time that the language problem is identified right through to the time when the blueprint is finalized and can be used for further tests. And we've also found new ways of representing, for example, the performance of a whole test population on a single heat map. So you can see all the candidates, they're on the left in the rows, and how they fared. Those are the columns on every single item that you see from left to right. And you can see that they didn't do, on this particular test, the candidates didn't do too well. But it's a new way of getting a snapshot of looking at. There are also other things. We've looked at ways of how we can make equivalent tests by constructing translated and back translated versions, comparing them with a construct equivalent version, and then finally adapting them. All of this comes together in this book in the various concepts and ideas that another colleague of mine, Toby van Dijk, has analyzed, a veritable galaxy of concepts and ideas that have to do with language assessment that you also see represented here in this particular word cloud. All the usual suspects are there, but then from the particular contextual angle, the South African angle, that I think is significant and needs further attention from the global language assessment community. If you don't believe me, perhaps I must refer you also to John Read, who also will speak shortly about his involvement in the book and why he got involved in the first place. So I'm going to hand over to him.
Thank you, Albert. As he said, I'm John Read at the University of Auckland in New Zealand. I'm very happy to be a member of the team of editors and authors who've produced this important publication from Multilingual Matters. I'm very much the outsider on the team, so I should explain how I came to be involved in the project. I met Albert Weideman about 10 years ago, and we soon found that we shared interests in this area of academic literacy assessment. At that time, I was working on a book about what we call in Australia and New Zealand, PELA, Post-Entry English Language Assessment, which involves assessing the language and literacy needs of students entering our universities in order to identify those with significant language needs and to direct them to an appropriate program available on campus to enhance their language and literacy proficiency. I came to recognize through my communications with Albert that the South Africans faced much greater challenges than we did in this area of dealing with the needs of incoming students, and also that they developed innovative ways to design appropriate tests for this purpose. So Albert and I did a number of things together, but more particularly in 2017, South Africans organised a colloquium as part of their National Language Teaching Conference, and I was invited to be the discussant at that colloquium. However, unfortunately, I had to cancel my travel plans at the last minute and wasn't able to be there. But the papers that were presented and discussed at that colloquium form the basis for this new book. Initially, the South Africans were thinking in terms of local publication of the papers in a South African journal or a book from a South African publisher. But I persuaded them that their work was of much greater interest and value than that, and that they should seek an international avenue of publication. So we approached Multilingual Matters, and we're very happy that they accepted our proposal. So now the book has appeared, and I'm very happy to see it. I think it has a lot of interest, particularly to people who are concerned about the language needs of students in higher education who come from disadvantaged backgrounds, but also more generally the needs of international students in English medium institutions in various parts of the world. So I welcome the publication of the book and commend it to you. It has a lot to offer.